Welcome into Player Profile today for Wednesday, May 15th. I'm Grindberg, Senior Analyst for the Player Profiler News Desk, and I am here every Wednesday bringing you the news for Player Profiler today. So let's get today's story going with our top story. All right, everybody, the NFL schedule is set to release today. Oh, baby, in about an hour's time, we are doing a little primer today as we are able to get a little sneak peek as the league announced a couple of the games in Get Our Gears Turning. So the 2024 season kicks off with an AFC Championship game rematch between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens on Thursday, September the 5th at 8:20 Eastern Time. Pitting the two perennial AFC powerhouses together, it totally makes sense to kick off the 2024 campaign with these two teams playing. I'm looking forward to this one. It'll certainly be must-see TV with so many storylines headed into this one. We have to remember that these two teams had the best defenses in the NFL in 2023, so we are looking for a shootout? Probably not. We have to temper our expectations. Not saying it won't happen because it's the first game of the year and, the teams could come out playing sloppy, but I'm not expecting a shootout in this one. Both these teams have very good defenses and they were on full display last year in the NFC Championship game, but also throughout this season. They led the league in a lot of different categories, including sacks, and I'm expecting this to be a defensive tilt to start off the year. But we got to get into the game, and Lamar Jackson versus Mahomes, the Baltimore Ravens with Lamar Jackson and the Kansas City Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes played each other in each of Jackson's first 4 seasons in the NFL, but their last encounter, was in the AFC Championship game. It's worth noting that the Chiefs are 4-1 against the Ravens in those games, but the Chiefs won the last recent tilt. In the 5 games the Chiefs and the Ravens have played, they've been pretty close. Ravens and Mahomes racked up an impressive stats. Mahomes is 147 for 202 with a 72% completion percentage for 1,700 yards, 13 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. He's been sacked just 6 times. He has had the better of the 2 matchups when they have played. Against the Chiefs, Jackson's numbers are not as great as Mahomes's. He is 88 for 158 with just a 56% completion percentage for just 1,000 yards and 5 touchdowns with just 3 interceptions. He has been sacked 14 times in those games, which is a pretty alarming stat. He's also just ran for 359 yards on the ground and 3 touchdowns. He has had 4 fumbles against, and the Chiefs have played him pretty good in their tenure against each other. This is a good time to remind you that these 2 quarterbacks are probably not going to be on the field at the same time other than at the coin toss and the handshake. So Lamar can't do anything to slow down Patrick Mahomes and his new offensive team that he's got around him. And there's a lot of other storylines that are going to be headed with this matchup, like the Marquise Brown revenge game. That is one I'm going to keep my eye on. Hollywood Brown signed a 1-year deal with the Chiefs. It gave the back-to-back Super Bowl champions a legit downfield threat that can stretch the field. It gives them a veteran presence and a weapon outside the pair superstar Travis Kelce and rising star Rashee Rice. Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes are going to use their new weapon, and he should be coming in and slotting in as their number 1 wide receiver out of the gate if this suspension to Rashee Rice does end up holding out. Brown, as you can remember, was an integral part of the Baltimore Ravens, and he was drafted by the team. Brown caught 46 passes for 584 yards and 7 scores as a rookie for the Baltimore Ravens. He also recorded 91 receptions for 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns his breakout season, and then he followed it up with a great season with you know, Lamar Jackson when he had his MVP season. So, there's a lot of underlining stories here that we've got to, take into account. And Marquise Brown should be in good company. He should have a good revenge game, especially if Rashee Rice is out of the lineup in that game. The Browns will be looking at their number one wide receiver into 2024, and Marquise Brown should be that guy. And there's a lot of hearsay speak headed into this 2024 season, and it sounded like Marquise Brown is looking really good so far, and they've created a little bit of chemistry with Patrick Mahomes. So we'll see how that will shake out in the preseason here. And also, there's another new face that's going to be in this game that we need to talk about, and that's Derrick Henry. And Derrick Henry, he's going to have his first game as a Raven, and it's going to be interesting to see that. I just think that he's going to be expected to have a pretty monstrous workload this year. I think he had a really good landing spot, and when the Baltimore Ravens signed Derrick Henry to a 2-year deal worth $16 million, they pretty much said that we have our guy for the next couple of years. Henry still has a lot left in the tank. I think, in the next 2 years, he's just built differently. We know that he's a tank, and he's going to take those, last couple of years of his contract and really, really do well. I could see, Derrick Henry having a monstrous season. They're going to be in a lot more, situations to succeed in the red zone. I can see Derrick Henry getting, upwards of 17 to 20 touchdowns this year as a Baltimore Raven. And I think that he is going to be featured in this game. And if you look back at the Chiefs last year, if they did have a weakness on their defense, it was in their linebacking core. They were kind of like a Band-Aid linebacking core throughout the season last year with some injuries to Nick Bolton and Willie Gay. And I think that just that situation there, they're really going to have to keep an eye on Derrick Henry, because I think that's going to be a really big focal point for the Ravens to start the year, getting a groove, getting him set up. And I think if there is a weakness in the Chiefs defense, it's going to be in their linebacking core. So look for Derrick Henry to have a monstrous season. The Ravens ranked first in total rush attempts across 6 seasons that Lamar Jackson's has been there. So I'm just saying that, they're also a top 3 rushing yards in all 6 of those seasons. This is a really good landing spot for Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry has been ranked as a top 2 rushing yards in the last 4 healthy seasons. The Ravens have ranked the top 3 in rush yards in the last 6 straight seasons. This pairing could not be any more perfect. I'm expecting a healthy Derrick Henry, like I said earlier, to push 17 touchdowns, also capturing his 6th 1,000-yard season in 7 years. Despite his age, Henry is still a guy that I'm going to be very, very much on the target for in redraft leagues, and a guy that, if I'm in a position to win in a dynasty league, he's a guy that I'm willing to acquire as well, because I just see the touchdown upside there. And then another guy is going to have another big workload this year. That is, Isaiah Pacheco. He's a guy that I think that the Chiefs are going to lean on early, especially with the uncertainty of their offensive unit. They have a lot more talent coming into 2024 than they did in 2023, the Chiefs did, but they do have some new faces there. Marquise Brown, Xavier Worthy. It's going to take them some time, and I think they're going to try and ease those guys in. And especially if they don't have Rashee Rice in the lineup, it's just going to be a type of game that I think is going to be a lot of running and a lot of back and forth on the run game. And Isaiah Pacheco coming off, a really strong RB2 season last year where he finished as the RB14. He has even more upside in 2024. The team did not do anything in reality here to threaten his position at all. If anything, they did stuff to put him in a better position. They didn't retain Jerick McKinnon, and when McKinnon is a guy that's going to steal those third down type plays, CEH did sign again, and he's going to be a Chief for the next year or so. But I just don't think that he's going to be a guy unless an injury happens to Pacheco. Pacheco is going to be a guy that is going to be really, really solid for the Chiefs in 2024. Pacheco averaged 20 touches last year for 100 yards on the ground, and he is Kansas City Chiefs workhorse back. He played at least 70% of the snaps in 3 of the 4 games without, Jerick McKinnon in the stretch here. Pacheco had plenty of high leverage usage last season, and he gets a lot of red zone touches and third down red zone targets as well. He's a solid RB2 headed into this season. I think he's going to be leaned on heavily in this game while these two teams establish the run, establish their game. The Chiefs are going to rely on Isaiah Pacheco, and the Ravens are going to rely on Derrick Henry in the game that they're going to really, with uncertainty, a lot of change in the defensive units. L'Jarius Sneed is no longer a Kansas City Chief, and I think that's going to really bode well for a guy like Zay Flowers, who quickly established himself last year as Lamar Jackson's go-to receiver in Baltimore, securing a 24% target share, which is a great target share for a rookie, and it only got better as the season progressed. His final ranking was wide receiver 29, and I think the sky's the limit for Flowers. He's going to average, those 9 to 10 targets per game, and even with Mark Andrews being injured for a good chunk of the season last year, Isaiah likely came in and commanded a similar target share. So it's not like Zay Flowers is going to have to worry about any competition coming into camp. He is their number one guy, and he's going to have a really good showing. And I think it's going to be really hard for these Chiefs to solidify and shut him down without L'Jarius Sneed in the lineup. So a lot of underlining tones here in this one game, and we could go on and on and on. Rashee Rice has been in the headlines, and he may not be playing. Xavier Worthy is the new Chiefs speedster that they got, who's not just a speed downfield threat. He's a great separator. So we'll see if he can actually get into that game. The Chiefs may just roll the dice with him, seeing if they can just take the training wheels off. It's not like they've done that in the past with their rookie wide receivers, but they're in a very different situation. They have a little bit more depth at that position. So it'll be interesting to see how they deploy Xavier Worthy, especially early on in this season. The Ravens will come back with a nice and healthy Mark Andrews after that ankle injury in week 11 last season. He was on pace, and he was just having another career year. Mark Andrews silently has been the tight end 4, the tight end 4, the tight end 3, the tight end 1, the tight end 4 in the last 5 years, and he is not going to stop this year as well. As long as he can stay healthy, Mark Andrews is a guy that is going to be a big impact in this game, and I think would have been a little bit more of an impact in the AFC Championship game had he been a little bit more healthy there. So yeah, Mark Andrews coming back healthy in 2024 is going to be another force to be reckoned with for these Baltimore Ravens, and I can't be more excited about how this season is going to tip off. And we haven't even talked about Travis Kelce coming back and being healthy and signing that 2-year deal. He's going to be an impact on the Chiefs, and they're going to rely on him heavily early, I think, until they can get these new wide receivers accustomed to their scheme. Travis Kelce is going to be a guy in this game that I think the Chiefs are going to rely on heavily. So crazy stuff, and it's only going to get crazier as the schedule gets released. We have a couple more games that we're going to have to cover here before the actual schedule gets totally released tonight in about 45 minutes time. But until then, let's talk about Underdog, and let's hear from the one and only, the Podfather.
This episode is made possible by Underdog Fantasy, and Underdog Fantasy is the leader in best ball. When you go to join an Underdog Fantasy best ball draft, it fills very quickly, especially now. It's Best Ball Mania season, baby. Best Ball Mania 5. I can't believe they're at Best Ball Mania 5 already. $15 million in prizes. They're giving out $15 million with $1.5 million to first. Playing in best ball leagues makes you better. It helps train you on player value and strategy. And Underdog offers a lot more than just best ball contests. They offer pick'ems. My new favorite, the golf pick'ems, but they have the NBA pick'ems, baseball pick'ems going on throughout the off season. Hit the pick'ems, back to best ball, hit the pick'ems. So use promo code Underworld. Promo code Underworld gets you a 50% deposit bonus up to $250. So they've increased the maximum deposit bonus. It was $100. Now it's up to $125. When you get the Underdog app, use promo code UNDERWORLD and go draft your ass off.
That's right. Go draft your ass off. Now, Underdog has got a lot going on right now, and it's only getting bigger right now with all the best ball season happening. And another thing that I wanted to touch base on is that the rookie guide has been updated for Player Profiler with all the rookie landing spots. So it's important as these rookie drafts are happening. I know a bunch have gone down last weekend, but a lot is happening this week. So be sure to, get yourself updated with our rookie guide at Player Profiler, because it's an important tool that can give you the edge in your fantasy football league this year. So the rookie guide has got a comprehensive player profile on each one of these incoming rookies that is impactful on offense. And you definitely should subscribe to it and get your hands on it, because a lot of really top tier analysts contributed to it. So you don't want to miss out on that key piece to your fantasy football championship this year. Now, we got another a game that we want to talk about that has been released, and that is, Aaron Rodgers kicking off in prime time on ABC on, the New York Jets will face the San Francisco 49ers on the Monday nighter on September 9th. Rodgers' second go at his tenure with the New York Jets. The comeback will take flight against Brock Purdy, Nick Bosa, and CMC, and the NFC Championship San Francisco 49ers in Santa Clara, San Francisco. Of course, prime time, Aaron Rodgers, going to be a good one. I'm looking forward to that. The 49ers are attempting to, forget about their tragic Super Bowl overtime loss against the Chiefs last year. Brock Purdy is coming back after a bounce back season. There's still some uncertainty in the wide receiver room. Will Brandon Ayuk be around? George Kittle's aging. And then they just picked up Ricky Pearsall, first round pick. That was a surprise to many people, but Pearsall looks like he's going to be a mainstay in that 49ers offense for years to come. So interesting move there. And it's a lot going on. They're going to be facing a really tough New York Jets secondary with Kenyon Williams, Sauce Gardner, and CJ Mosley. With the addition of Haason Reddick, this is going to be a tough game. And I think it's going to be a defensive battle. The Jets have a new look as well this year, with Aaron Rodgers coming in healthy. Hopefully he can bounce back and really show, Garrett Wilson's potential. We've seen what Garrett Wilson can do with suboptimal quarterback play, but let's just see what he can do with somebody that can actually get him the ball and get it to him ball efficiently. And I'm excited to see what Garrett Wilson has to come this year. Breece Hall coming off of a season where he was healing an injury, and I just think that the way he ended 2023, Breece Hall is a smash play in 2024. They just picked up Braylon Allen as a good depth piece in that backfield. Mike Williams is an addition to the New York Jets. That's going to be a guy that's going to fit in on the long ball. And also Malaki Corley is a guy that's going to kind of fit in all over the field there with the Jets. So be interesting to see how that shakes out for the New York Jets. They're in a division that it has come back down to life a little bit. I think Miami is going to be still the front runner there with the, Buffalo Bills losing some key pieces on offense. I just, think that division is now a little bit more up for grabs, and we'll see what happens here moving forward. And these Jets have done a lot of good things this offseason, and they're in tough against the 49ers on the road on the Monday night kickoff special. But if there's anybody that can go into San Francisco and take a win, that is Aaron Rodgers. So we'll see what happens there, folks. And another one that they announced is the first Thursday night football game on Prime Video in 2024 will be a showdown between the Dolphins and the Bills. The Bills have won the last 4 meetings between the two teams, and the Fins have got some scars after a blowout loss to Buffalo last season, and we'll see what happens going forward in this one. I love the situation there. I think the the Bills will be a totally different unit headed into 2024. I think they're going to be a little bit more run heavy offense. They don't have the prolific wide receiver one that they've had in the past, and Stephon Diggs. Gabe Davis is no longer there, so they have a retooled offense, and they're going to have to really try to gel early. And playing the Dolphins earlier in the season might be a tough one for them to get over. And if they lose that game at home, it'll be on the road. It'll be a tough one. So hopefully we'll see what goes on there. And, the Dolphins, on the other hand, are coming in hot. They always start the seasons nice and strong. And it's no different this year. Jalen Waddle's coming back. I think he's going to have a bounce back season. Tyreek Hill looks good. And that backfield with Jalen Wright has, he's a sneaky guy that we got to keep our eye on moving forward, folks, because, we got an aging Raheem Mostert and a guy like Devon Achane who plays lights out when he's in the lineup, but that lighter style back, he may run into some injury issues. So there might not be long before Jalen Wright has an opportunity, and that talent and that speed score alone will give him some opportunity there. So look out for Jalen Wright in that Miami Dolphins offense. And then another game. So the Chiefs are going to have a tough schedule right off the bat, and that is week 2 they're playing Cincinnati Bengals, starting off with a couple rivals there in the Ravens and the Bengals, a couple tough opponents, and they're kicking it off on a Sunday afternoon. And Burrow missed the last matchup they had against the Chiefs because of that wrist injury in week 11 last year, and it's all signs are pointing that Joe Burrow is back. There's film going on out there that he's throwing a nice ball. So hopefully, they're getting him in the lineup early, and they want the NFL to feature this matchup and the Chiefs early in the season. So Chiefs, at least saving grace, they have a tough couple matchups, but they are starting at home, both those games. So if there is any saving grace there, it is that they get to start at Arrowhead, both those first 2 games. So, it's going to be a tough matchup. Placing this game early gives the best chance for both quarterbacks to be healthy for this showdown in 2024. And I think the fans will really enjoy the kickoff to this season. They are headliners. The Chiefs open the season against the Ravens and now the Bengals, and that's a serious 1-2 punch that the defending Super Bowl champions are going to have to overcome. And adversity is striking early for the Super Bowl champions, and if they want to repeat, they're going to have to get in there, and they're going to have to go in and show the league that they mean business, and it's going to happen. And they're going to have to do it early on, because if they get out to an 0-2 start, it's going to be tough in that division to bounce back with some of the changes that are made and headed in there. Now, the Christmas Day games have been announced as well, and guess who's been announced? The Super Bowl champions, Kansas City Chiefs, are headed to Pittsburgh to face the Steelers in the first day of the matchup. So, they're going to be on the spectrum again. They're going to be in prime time on Christmas Day, and nothing out of the realm for the Chiefs. But interesting offseason for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They've upgraded their quarterback room substantially, bringing in Russell Wilson, veteran, and Justin Fields as well. So they're going to be off to a good start. And, bringing in wide receiver Roman Wilson, I think adds a really good slot receiver to that team. That's going to take a lot of targets that were vacated by Deontay Johnson. And George Pickens is a guy that is going to have a breakout season, if you will, for most people's radar. And he's a guy, if he can, have some stability at quarterback and a guy that can get him the ball on a consistent basis, George Pickens is going to have a breakout season in 2024. And these Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be in a division that is always tough, but they seem to always be a scrappy team. And I really like the way they drafted this year. And they are, again, a team that's on the rise. And now with some stability at the quarterback position, they're back in the fold there, and in putting their names in the hat of winning that division outright. So, I'm not saying they're going to do it, but they position themselves to contend, and they're going to see what they got there. So the Chiefs and the Steelers. Christmas Day. And then the next game on Christmas Day is the Ravens and Texans. And this is going to be an interesting one. You know, two teams that finished 2023 really, really strong. The Texans, you know, came into the playoffs with rookie CJ Stroud and turned a lot of heads in the meantime. And, you know, the Baltimore Ravens, again, you know, coming in 2023 as a favorite to win the Super Bowl, and they made it all the way to the AFC Championship game, only to come up a little bit short to the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think that this matchup on Christmas Day is going to be a really good headliner on two teams that are going to be probably right in the thick of things headed into the playoffs. And that game probably might decide a couple divisions. And it's going to be one to highlight on your calendar, folks. You know, when you got two superstar quarterbacks and youngster CJ Stroud and Lamar Jackson, fireworks are bound to happen. And I'm excited to see. And, you know, the games that the schedule and the NFL has released already are games that have been highlighted, and people are already really excited about headed into 2024. So, you know, in about half an hour's time, we're going to get the full release of the schedule. And I'm sure all you guys are going to be out there looking at your team's specific games and looking at how they're going to fare in the 2024 season, like myself. So, couple other headlines I'd like to, you know, hit up before we let y'all go for the night and get you know, tuned into ESPN to watch the draft and release here. So, you know, we talked about it a little bit on the last night's show. Is that Jared Goff has now been, you know, signed and finalized the massive 4-year contract extension worth $212 million on Monday. He is tied into with the club until 2028. This is $170 million guaranteed. Goff is still only 29 years old, and he is linked to a team on the rise. We saw what they did in 2023, the Lions, and they're only going to be, you know, getting better. They're going to improve. And I just really like to see what's happening there. They're locking in Jared Goff for the long term. You know, along with Goff, the Lions made strides. They locked in Amon-Ra St. Brown. You know, they have a top tight end in Sam Laporta. They have a leading rusher in David Montgomery. And now Jahmyr Gibbs is going to take another huge piece of that pie. This team under Ben Johnson is going to look really, really good in 2024. And I'm excited to see what fantasy lineups are going to look like headed into this season with those superstar guys headed in there. So Jared Goff, a guy that was, you know, a lot of fantasy managers were reluctant to, you know, hold on to, and he's a guy now that his dynasty value is just skyrocketed over the last, you know, 48 hours. And he's guys that, you know, you're going to want to hold on to because he is very valuable. He's not a top, you know, QB1 tier guy, but he floats into that, you know, QB1 range, you know, 50% of the year. So if he ends up being a QB12, QB13, ends the year there, you're very happy with that, especially with the price you're paying to get Jared Goff. So the Buffalo Bills are adding another piece of their wide receiver room. MVS, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, signed a 1-year deal worth up to $4.5 million with the Bills. That was reported by Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero on Tuesday morning. After 4 seasons with the Green Bay Packers and the Kansas City Chiefs, MVS helped them win back-to-back Super Bowls. The speedy wideout struggled with consistency and drops with his 2 seasons in Kansas City, but came up clutch down the stretch, including a touchdown in the Super Bowl win over the San Francisco 49ers. The Buffalo Bills are just kind of adding these depth pieces to their lineup because, you know, they lost a lot of their strength at wide receiver room, and they got a rookie in Keon Coleman coming in. And, you know, they're going to have some wide receiver veteran presence, and that's what MVS brings to them. MVS now is a guy that has been linked to, you know, some perennial quarterbacks and hasn't fared too well under their regimes. You know, you got a guy that's played with Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, and now he's going to a team that has Josh Allen. Good luck, MVS. Hopefully those hands are a little more sure-handed in Buffalo, but we shall see what happens there. another big deal for a team that locked in a guy that was a key piece of their team, and that's the Buccaneers signing safety Antoine Wilson. They agreed to a 4-year deal worth $84 million. Winfield was a guy that was just, becoming a staple of that defensive unit, and now he becomes the highest paid defensive back in the league. On a little less shocking news here. The Giants have signed wide receiver Allen Robinson to a 1-year deal. He's found a new home with the Giants after spending the 2023 season with the Steelers. He was a former Pro Bowler, and he's looking to make an impact in a wide receiver room that struggled mightily. They got a weapon now in Malik Neighbors, and I think he's going to be the guy that is going to be targeted heavily. But I think that Allen Robinson's going to head in there, become a veteran presence that can maybe show some veteran moves to our Malik Neighbors. That is going to be a guy that is going to be the future of the New York Giants. And Malik Neighbors is a guy that you really want to circle yourselves on. Even in redraft leagues this year, the guy could be seeing upwards of 130, 140 targets in that offense. Maybe his touchdown upside isn't going to be there in a low scoring offense, but the guy could see a lot of targets, and I'm expecting him to see the lot of targets and seeing in that intermediate route, range of the field. He's just going to use his yak ability and garner some targets there. So Malik Neighbors, and he's got a friend there in Allen Robinson that's going to help show him the ropes of the NFL. So I think that's a really good play for the Giants, and whether he sees a field or not, that's another thing. I think it's more of a impact on a guy like Malik Neighbors. Now, another veteran wide receiver signed with the team, and that's the Arizona Cardinals. They signed Zay Jones to a 1-year deal worth up to $4.2 million. He did struggle to stay on the field for the Jags because of a knee injury in 2024. He only played 9 games. He had some legal issues that were dropped, so there's some speculation there. The Cardinals desperately needed to add to their wide receiver room after, losing Hollywood Brown and Rondale Moore. They did draft perennial, superstar and future potential, Hall of Famer already. People are talking about it, Marvin Harrison Jr. So we'll see what happens there. But I think Zay Jones adds a depth piece, a target for Kyler Murray that he can see in a more optimistic, way of light there. So Jones will be competing for the, second wide receiver spot alongside Michael Wilson, who had a decent, 2023 season. Greg Dortch will also take some slot, reps, but Jones could be a guy that could be a best ball play, or a guy that you may see some depth situations happen. He was playable in a lot of situations when he was starting for the Jags when there was an injury to some of their key wide receivers, and a guy that he may be, a depth piece on a roster if you have a deep bench. So, we're about half an hour away from the draft, from the release of the schedule. I'm looking forward to seeing it go down, and I'm sure there's going to be more talk on it tomorrow when Bradley Stalder takes on the Thursday night player profiler today. We're going to talk more about the schedule. I'm sure there's going to be some more news, so be sure to tune in tomorrow night for that at 7 p.m. Eastern. You can always find us here 7 p.m. Eastern daily. We have anchors hitting up news every single day, so be sure to follow us on YouTube. Our channel is growing, but please be sure to follow us to get your breaking news. Also, be sure to follow us on the Player Profiler website on the news desk, because anytime news breaks, it's linked to the player itself. So, you're going to get a little bit of fantasy analysis with each blurb, but also you're going to get the breaking news as it happens. So be sure to follow us on all our socials, Player Profiler today, on the Player Profiler News YouTube channel. So we are also currently onboarding members to the news desk on Player Profiler. So please, if you are looking to, get your feet wet in the fantasy football industry and you want to, start contributing to a platform, this could be the opportunity you are looking for. We have a pinned tweet on our Player Profiler News Twitter page. So please be sure to follow it, fill out the application. One of us will get back to you. We're looking for news desk anchors to bring team-specific news that happens on a daily basis. So be sure to check that out. That's it for today. So be sure to check us out again tomorrow when Bradley takes over the show. It's been a pleasure having y'all on. Thanks for tuning in, and hopefully your team lucks out with a good schedule and that they're headed into a good 2024. So for all of us on Player Profiler today, have a great night, everybody. Enjoy the schedule.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.